Evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Wilson School Board for Monday, May 6th, 2019. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Case?
Thank you. Would you all please rise for the pledge to the flag? Mr. Maravich.
There's two opportunities on public participation. There's two opportunities for the public to address the board. One is on agenda items immediately before the agenda. The second is on non-agenda items just at the end of the meeting. Pursuant to school board policy and the Sunshine Law, it is not question and answer, but it's an opportunity to provide the board with matters that are or may come before it. And I don't believe we have nothing.
None? Okay, thank you.
So the short version is fine then.
Okay. All right, at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Case for a special presentation with one of our BCTC students.
Thank you, President Wolf. Good evening. As the Wilson BCTC Joint Operating Committee representative, I always look forward to learning more about what BCTC offers when we dive into a tour of a specific program each month and meet the students and teachers discussing their curriculum, projects, and experiences. A couple of months ago, the committee toured the Business Management and Entrepreneurship program, and we met Ms. Tiffany Green, who was the teacher who developed the growing program, and Wilson's own Dylan Bilodeau, who presented his Virtual Enterprises International project. I was inspired by Dylan and enlightened by everything I witnessed that evening, and wanted to share and recognize with our school board and community how Ms. Green and Dylan have raised the bar for career and technology education. What inspired me most about Dylan was how professional and polished of a speaker he was, and I could easily picture him in any boardroom, in any business, anywhere in the world leading an organization in the future. It reconfirmed to me that success has so many paths in life, and I was proud to know that BCTC offers those alternatives to anyone dedicating themselves to find their passion. We try our best to practice educating the whole child here at Wilson. It can be a difficult task. Having alternative paths and opportunities for students to find their niche, their passion, and the thing that drives them to want to come to school each day and soak up everything they can in a short amount of time they are here is what BCTC is and what it can be for many Wilson students. Whether starting at BCTC in the medical health profession program and becoming a physician, or an engineer starting in the mechatronics program, a small business owner starting in the carpentry program, or a future business leader in the Business Management and Entrepreneurship program. More colleges are looking at internship experiences and experience factors, and BCTC is becoming an advantage to getting accepted into college programs. Dylan is a great example, and he's going to share some of his BCTC projects tonight and his experience of how BCTC prepared him for his next step after high school. If you ask some of Dylan's former teachers from years back, they may mention he was a great student and maybe a bit on the quiet side. Today, Dylan is traveling like a rock star, winning virtual international competitions, recently competing at Bloomsburg University, on stock market trips to New York City, and most recently on the front page of the Reading Eagle business section. So first, I want to welcome back and thank you, Ms. Green, for developing and growing a great business program at BCTC. And Ms. Green will provide an overview of the program, and also to recognize and congratulate Dylan for all his success and of being a student at Wilson and BCTC. We are very proud. So we look forward to seeing great things, and Ms. Green and Dylan are going to present some of the things that I saw and talk about his experience. So rather than me talk, I could talk all night about BCTC. Let's have Ms. Green and Dylan come up, and thank you and welcome.
Tiffany Green. I'll share a little bit about the program itself. It's really an exploratory 3 years where students who are interested in business can dive into the academics, but then the hands-on practice is skill-based through running a virtual business. The virtual business allows them to interact, compete, create, and manage a company and compete against over 500 schools internationally. They have roles in different departments, they have responsibilities, they have planning, Dylan will share a lot more about that. What has become a significant marker for us this year is that all of my seniors, 80% of them, are out on co-op as marketing specialists, customer service managers, and I'll let Dylan share what he's doing at a local RE/MAX office. I'm incredibly proud of them, and I just got 2 juniors in to start an internship. In fact, they started last week at AAA as client service coordinators, and they'll be working part-time through the end of school, and then they're going to be doing a job share all summer. And this will set them up for a cooperative job experience. And all of this is paid work for them, and it puts them out in the business world. So it's really exciting. And Dylan is one of my star students and near and dear to my heart. He comes from Wilson, so I'm really proud to be here, and I'm going to let him impress you because I'm pretty sure he will.
Thank you. All right. So first, I'd like to thank the board for coming out tonight for me to present my BCTC experience. So as you know, I'm a Wilson student, and I joined BCTC my sophomore year to expand my knowledge in business field, and specifically in management and marketing. I am on the Technical Academy level to gain college credit through RAC. So at BCTC, I'm taking college credit courses that will transfer to my secondary education. Currently, in my class, I'm the CEO of my virtual enterprise business that we run, and I'll go more into depth through the presentation about what the business is. And I'm also in co-op with RE/MAX of Writing with the Dave Mattis team, working as a real estate assistant and doing background work in their office. And lastly, I have my personal website coming out this summer, showcasing all my portfolio work I've done. So BCTC's mission statement is, our mission is to prepare all students for successful careers and higher education through a highly acclaimed, integrated, and academic and technical education experience. And throughout the presentation, you can see how that really relates back to my education through BCTC. So what type of work I've accomplished at BCTC? I've done virtual enterprise work, which is called company work in our class. I also have my OSHA certification and some coursework through Technical Academy, which is Intro to Business, Contemporary Marketing, Financial Accounting, and Business Math, which all is in different colleges around Pennsylvania. So let's skip too far. So what the VEI is, the VEI is in the Business Management Entrepreneurship class at BCTC, and it is a virtual enterprise where kids and schools like BCTC come together in an e-commerce educational online facility where we buy, sell, and trade through the VEI portal. And it's many students who want to be in the business profession and want to broaden their knowledge in the business field by doing it in their teenage years through high school. So what company do we run in the VEI? We have a company in BME called 99 Adventures, and we are a travel and real estate agency that has been in the business for 3 years now. And I've been there since the beginning, so I've seen how to build a business and how to keep it growing. And we've been there since 2016, and we've established in our market, and we've expanded each year to hit the goals of each company. So what some skills I've learned through BCTC is my leadership skills. I've been a chief executive officer position my past 3 years, so I've guided people through tasks and delegate situations through there. Also my business writing skills, through my business plan writing we do every year, and different business reports through the Technical Academy. My public speaking skills I've also improved on by my business plan presentation we do every year, and also large business meetings and stuff we do inside the classroom. I for design by creating promotional materials, updating and making new catalogs, and creating a full website for the company that I've done my past 3 years. And lastly, my critical thinking skills, which is my expansion of the company and delegating tasks and situations inside the company that we do day to day. So work-based learning is kind of like an internship and co-op that we have at BCTC, and that is for students in their 3rd year at BCTC that have completed a 90-95% coursework at the school. We have to hold a business-related position at our job, and it allows us to network ourselves inside real-world businesses and gives us a hand-on experience. So my work-based learning, I am employed through RE/MAX of Writing, as I said before, working with the Dave Mattis team as an administrative real estate intern. I'm responsible for updating marketing materials at the office and also creating running Eagle advertisements to go up bi-weekly, listing houses on the MLS, doing some background work with other people in the team, and other background admin work that I do from day to day. So some skills I've expanded on through being at RE/MAX. I've improved my design skills for different advertisements through the ads that we do for bi-weekly in the RE/MAX catalog that we do. Also, my teamwork skills, we're working with a full team of people who are selling houses. I'm working with them, so I'm expanding my skills through our meetings we do. Maturation by landing a job in an industry that I've always desired to be in. Personal finance, I have to budget my money now bi-weekly on a pay scale, so I have to kind of go by week and see my pay and kind of manage that. And also my time management, I've created a monthly schedule and important dates and meeting times on my schedule like a normal person would do at a real job. So my higher education, I'm going to attend Millersville as class of 2023 this fall. I'm going to major in business management and minor in marketing, and I'll have those 15 college credits from BRAC that will transfer to Millersville so I can expand my electives and local businesses in my internships so I get a full grasp of my business area, and that will also enhance my resume for when I leave college for my future endeavors. So thank you so much.
Anything else, Mr. Case, with that?
That was fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Mrs. Green. As a former Bulldog and still a Bulldog, we're glad you found a good spot to still influence our Wilson students. And thank you, Mr. Mattis, for taking them on. It's a great opportunity. So thanks again. You guys are welcome to stay for this exciting meeting, or it's a good time to exit as well. Just an announcement that the board did meet in executive session prior to tonight's meeting for personnel issues. At this point, Ms. Schlossman, you want to come up and do your piece of the presentation?
Good evening. I'm here to present the 1920 proposed final budget for Wilson School District. Before I get started, I always like to thank everyone who is a part of the process. It takes a lot of effort from a lot of people, so I want to personally thank Dr. Fadley and all our administrators and all of our budget managers and the Finance Committee and my finance office, and of course all of the school board members who have worked since the fall on this budget. And I just want to also say that our district is very fortunate to have a collaborative environment where we can work together toward student success while maintaining our fiscal responsibility. Not everyone can say that, and I'm glad that Wilson is a place that we can do that. So our mission statement, empowering our students to create their own future, I think that Dylan was a perfect example of that. Chris, you're sitting at the table. You're a product of 13 years of investment from the Wilson School District. My daughter's graduating as well in June, and it's an exciting thing to see our students be successful from Wilson. So what is the budget? What is it designed to do? Well, it's designed to support the district's educational plan for the students and maintain our district facilities, honor our obligations, and provide fiscal accountability to all of our stakeholders. So the process began in the fall of 2018. We're now at the stage of the proposed final budget adoption, and then we still have one more step, June 17th, for the final budget adoption. First, want to look at our student enrollment and look at our story here. So the past 5 years, you can see our enrollment. This is a point in time. October 1st is a date that PDE collects certain data from us. So you can see that over the past 5 years, we had 114 additional students, or a 1.9% increase in our total enrollment. This is the breakdown of the students in our total enrollment. You can see in the blue, special education enrollment, That is 14% of our total enrollment as of October 1st of 2018. Gifted is 6%. And you can see that as the years go on, those different categories change. So the breakdown of our enrollment you can see here in a pie chart: 77% regular education enrollment, 18% special education enrollment, and 5% gifted as of this past October. Our student enrollment for low-income profile is also changing as the years go on. We've had a 20% increase over the last 5 years, or 334 students that now qualify as low income. And there you can see the breakdown of our student population. Again, as a point in time, 32% were categorized as low-income enrollment in October. So how do we serve and fulfill the mission to empower our students to create their own future? So the expenditure budget for 1920 as proposed tonight is $110.5 million. That's a 3.7% increase over the prior year's budget. $83 million is personnel, and $26.5 million is non-personnel. You can see the breakdown on the pie chart that the majority is the personnel costs. We are a service industry, and that makes sense. 10% is our debt service, with other non-personnel of 14. So some of the significant expenditure changes relate to staffing additions to support our mission here. We are in a third year of a 4-year contract with the Wilson Education Association. We do have some pay increases as well for admin and support staff. The governor's proposal is from February in his budget is suggesting $12 an hour minimum wage. That would affect the district as well. The PSERS increase, 0.86% increase to 34.29% on every dollar of wages, continues to go up, flattening a little bit, but still going up. We are a member of the Health Trust, and the premium increases are set at 5% at the moment. Not finalized yet. We'll know our final number in June. And we do have built into the budget some increases in our liability insurance. We also experienced special education cost increases, which we have built in. We have a decrease in debt service, which is scheduled. That is due to the fact that a general obligation bond is being paid off this fiscal year. In order to build in some millage for future projects, which might be the results of a district feasibility study or other needs, we're building in a transfer of $0.3 million to the Capital Reserve Fund. We did have some decreases in our central administration budgets to offset some of the increases in special ed. And we have our transportation and operations vehicles replacements set to come out of capital funds rather than the general fund next year. This is just a chart showing the PSERS employer contribution over the years and what's estimated to occur in the future. This is in dollars. So our employer contribution gross before the state subsidy is budgeted at $16.9 million for 1920. We do get subsidized for half of that from the state. Our medical insurance expense is on this graph. We did have quite a spike from 17-18 to 18-19. There is a 5% premium increase currently in the budget. Here's our debt service schedule. We did receive a AA stable outlook rating from S&P last week. We are going out for $11 million of new debt tomorrow to take care of some capital needs around our facilities. Here's a graphic of special education expenditures. The yellow bar shows the local share supporting special education, and the green part of the bar is the state and federal subsidy. So you can see that the state and federal subsidy supporting special education over the years has kind of flatlined and the burden is placed on the local resources to fund that. Special education expenditures across Berks County, if you look at the 18 schools, Wilson falls 8th when it comes to the cost per student, so we are in the lower half. The average for that year is $15,323 a student. This graphic shows the per student spending overall, excluding any money transferred to other funds. So we're looking at total expenditures before transfers to other funds across the county. The blue line shows the average cost per student that schools spend. Wilson is the orange line. So you can see we stay within that line pretty well. And actually, over the last 3 years, we fall below that line, lower than the county average. So the county average comes in 2017 at $14,334, and we came in at $14,032. So in order to fund the mission of empowering our students, we look to our revenues. So we have it broken down here by local, state, and federal, and other. Our current real estate taxes is the majority of our revenues, and our state and federal are lesser, as you can see there, for total revenues of $107 million, or a 3% increase. On the pie chart, you can see local effort is 75% of all of the funding for this district, with the state being only 24% and federal being 1%. Our real estate assessment growth has been strong, especially this past year, which is very helpful to our budget situation. The millage that's built into the real estate taxes at the proposed final budget is 0.71 of an increase, or 26.38 mils. That's a 2.8% increase over the prior year, and that is at the index. You can see over the last 5 years that we've stayed well below the index as well. Countywide, last year we were only second to the lowest millage rate in the county, next to Reading School District. We're looking to stay in that position, or in the bottom 2 or 3 for 1920 as well. So what does the millage impact affect? How does it affect homeowners at a 2.8% increase? So typically you'll see published $100,000 of value would be a $71 increase for the year, or $5.92 per month. We also show the median, the average, and the 75th percentile here on this slide. The 75th percentile represents the amount of assessment that 75% of our homeowners have in assessment that or lower. So their effect would be $117.79 a year, or $9.82 a month. We also experienced some increases in our other local revenues related to the stronger economy. Earned income tax, real estate transfer tax, mercantile and business privilege taxes, and interest income all are affected by that stronger economy. For the state revenue, the governor proposed for the Wilson School District a $0.5 million increase in basic ed and special ed funding. We have at this point included 95% of that increase. We're waiting for the budget to get passed, hopefully mid-June. Here are some other state revenues. Obviously, the state share of PSERS and FICA goes up along with our expenses. And also on this slide, I mentioned the rental and sinking fund payment is decreasing by $0.7 million because of the payoff in our debt. The general obligation bonds of 2012, also the subsidy for that goes away as well. So here we land on our working budget summary, and that is total revenues of $107 million, expenditures of $110.5 million, with a deficit of $3.5 million. $1 million of that is our budgetary reserve. We never really tax or fund that. We set that aside in an assigned fund balance. It's just for unexpected expenditures. We have never needed to use it in my years here, but we do set that aside. So we have $2.5 million that we need to cover with the deficit, which we are proposing in this budget to use the committed PSERS fund balance. Oops, sorry about that. So we have 4 types of fund balances in the general fund: unassigned, restricted, assigned, and committed. They all have served their purpose. And here is the projection of those balances, $16.5 million. The committed fund balance is what we're projecting or proposing that we use to balance the budget. So in the 4 years that are listed above there, the board voted to set aside excesses in any given year toward this fund balance, knowing that PSERS would continue to rise. So we are proposing for the 1920 budget that we use $2.5 million of that to balance our budget at this point. And that's pretty much equivalent to what was put into this balance at the year ended of June 30, 2018. So when we project out, we don't budget in a vacuum, and we do look out 3 to 5 years. In order to balance future budgets, we would be, in effect, draining this balance by the end of 22. The unassigned fund balance does have a fund balance policy attached to it. The school board has a policy that states that the unassigned fund balance can never fall below 3% of the subsequent year's budgeted expenditures. So as you can see here, the projection for the end of 2019 would be at 6.3%, which is well above our policy. We do have a goal of 5%, as was recommended by our auditing firm. And then at the end of 2020, our projection is that we would be at 5.8%. So this is a slide that's kind of tiny to read, but I love it because it kind of just puts everything on one page as to, are we in line with our policy? Are we financially strong as we look out 3 and 4 and 5 years? So this is a 3-year lookout, and we can see the section in green shows that we are within our unassigned fund balance policy. This does show that we would be at index going forward, but there are a lot of assumptions in there. But we look at this to make sure that we're still in line with what our goals are. So until June 17th, there are things that will still be happening. There are unknowns such as the governor's budget, the medical insurance premiums, the minimum wage, and our liability premiums are all things that will take place between now and June 17th. Hopefully it will be all good news, and we can come back with possibly a lower millage or a lower deficit or a combination of the two. So that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions? Okay. Go ahead. Thank you.
Get it, the millage increase as low as possible. We had some challenges with this year's budget, as Christine has mentioned, but the Finance Committee and Christine herself will work to get this to the lowest possible millage increase that we can achieve while still sustaining in the manner in which it should be.
Well, that being said, Christine, would be commended as well as our finance committee for still, all things considered, having us near the very bottom as far as where our millage is. So thank you for your work with that.
And if I can just point out, 75% of our revenue is derived locally, only 24% from the state. And we have had the benefit of offering programs here that many other districts do not offer, and we are quite fortunate. My concern has been and always will be the idea of property tax elimination, is that we don't control those local dollars. And you have to look no further, in my opinion, than the Highway and Transportation Fund that was depleted in almost half to pay for state police coverage throughout the Commonwealth. And I can assure you that there were people elected in Harrisburg that said not a penny of that money would ever be used for anything other than roads and bridges throughout Pennsylvania. And to suggest that if we were to allow Harrisburg to have that responsibility for all education dollars, and those same people would say not a penny of that money would be used for anything other than education, I would venture to guess when there are dire needs that come up, that there would be cuts in public education, and the districts that would not be affected are those that are performing well below those that are overperforming, such as Wilson. And that has been my concern and will continue to be my concern over what has been proposed with property tax elimination. So again, the only people that come out and rally about this are those that want it eliminated, but I don't think there's enough people that have been properly informed to speak out in favor of what our current funding system is. And I encourage people to have those conversations and to bring up these particular points because I think my voice and others have not been heard and have not been fully discussed in Harrisburg. Thank you.
Thank you, I agree. Sure.
Retirement, but like, what is the effect of like taking from that fund, like in the future?
So the PESers did try to do something with it's a defined benefit plan, which defines the benefit versus a defined contribution plan, which you put in so much money, and however the market does, that's what you're going to pull out of it one day. So the defined benefit plan has a set amount in retirement that you would receive. So over the years, it was underfunded, and now they're trying to make up for that. But PESers did institute a new law that's coming into effect July 1. For those who are hired after July 1, there is a hybrid plan where it's not all defined benefit any longer. So that is to help offset some of the cost of the defined benefit piece of it. So it will be a hybrid of sort of like a defined contribution plan, like a 401k, and part defined benefit plan. So over time, that is hopefully going to save the fund some money. So did I answer your question? Or okay.
Hybrid plan, or are they still getting to define?
I'm not sure if it's the state retirement system or it's the school retirement system.
Just the school?
But I'm not sure about that.
No, I didn't see anything on the state side.
So the problem is, Chris,
Well, John,
with
would you
this,
know?
with this fund,
I think it's only school people.
That's what, okay.
right. One of the problems, Chris, is, you know, this is invested money, and if the market crashes and funds are lost from that pool of money, as taxpayers, we are the ones that have to make that up. So it's a guaranteed amount. It's not, you know, if I wake up tomorrow and my investments crashed, I got to start all over. But this is a defined amount that no matter what the stock market's doing, as a district, we have to make up the difference for this. That's what's kind of caused this problem over time. Good question, though.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Anyone else? All right. Then I am looking for a motion to approve the proposed final budget for 2019-2020 in the amount of $110,505,000 at the rate of 26.38 mils as per the resolution to the permanent minutes. Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Second, Mr. Negrini. Roll call, please. Moving on to approval of the minutes, looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the school board meeting held April 15th, 2019. I have a motion for that. Mr. Martin, thank you. Second, Mr. Case, thank you. Voice vote, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Payment of bills, Mr. Martin.
Mr. President, I submit for approval tonight bills in the amount of $3,093,400. $497.91.
Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Roll call, please. Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Fadley.
Thank you, President Wolf. I present this evening the personnel and programs recommendations as listed.
Thank you. Looking for a motion for 5.1 through 5.7. Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Second. Mr. Hart, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hart? Mr. Haas? Dr. Kennedy? Mrs. Pepper? Mr. Martin? Mr. McGreen? Mr. Case? Mr. Ehrlich? Mr. Wolf? 9-4, 0 against.
6.1, looking for a motion to approve the high school business trip to Six Flags, New Jersey as presented. And 6.2, looking for a motion to approve the high school forensics field trip to Washington, D.C. as presented. Mr. Case, thank you. Second. Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Voice vote, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Under consent items, we have a number of donations. The first one from Gogglersville Fire Company, a check for $15,000 to be used for 15 $1,000 educational scholarships to seniors. From the Wilson Youth Baseball and Softball Organization, 2 new batting cages for middle school baseball and softball, and 3 new batting cage nets for the high school softball, freshman baseball, and middle school baseball, at a total estimated value of $5,050. C, from the elementary statewide tax recovery, a check for $200 to be used for a scholarship for a financially warranted student who is furthering his or her education. And finally, from the Southern Middle School PTO, a check for $2,000 to be used for the Southern Middle School Field Day. Do I have a motion for 7.1? Mrs. Cocker, thank you. Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Just want to point out, Gogglersville has been amazing over the years. I think previously they've been at $10,000. This year they've stepped up to $15,000. It's just amazing how they've supported our students over the years. So thank you to any and all involved in that organization. Anyone else?
Yeah, we were saying what's amazing is the split, I believe. Part of it, their
Yeah,
territory
yeah,
is
it's
Mifflin
part
and
Perimeter
us.
Township and part Spring.
Yeah, so it's just amazing that
Yeah.
they continue to do that, gratefully.
Yes, very much. All right, we have a first and second, so looking for voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Under HR, looking for a motion to approve the appointment of Ryan Fitterling to Director of Technology, Act 93, for 12 months at $92,548 per year, effective 7/1/19, as presented. Do I have a motion for that? Mrs. Cocker, thank you. Second, Mr. Hart, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Haas? Dr. Kennedy? Mrs. Pepper? Mr. Martin? Mr. McGreen? Mr. Case? Mr. Ehrlich? Mr. Hart? Mr. Wolf? 9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Fitterling. He's been an asset to the district for many years, so we're proud to see you moving up. Thank you. Yeah, he actually mentioned that in the interview, I think. All right, under pupil services, looking for a motion to grant permission to contract with Hogan Learning Academy as presented. 9.2, a motion to grant permission to contract with Opportunity School as presented. 9.3, a motion to grant permission to contract with Austills Rehabilitation Services Incorporated as presented. 9.4, motion to grant permission to contract with Vista School as presented. 9.5, motion to grant permission to approve the adoption and settlement agreement and release as presented. 9.6, motion to approve the agreement with the BCIU. 9.7, a motion to approve the board committee's recommendation for expulsion as presented. And that's what we're looking for, motion 9.1 through 9.7. Mr. Hop, thank you. Second, Mr. Hart. Any conversation? Roll call, please. Thank you. Under Operations 10.1, looking for a motion to grant approval to use Republic Services as our trash provider through the BCIU Joint Purchasing Board for the time period July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2021. 10.2, looking for a motion to grant approval to bid the lower house asphalt work. 10.3, looking for a motion to grant approval to enter into a 60-month lease with Stratix Systems Wyomissing for $649 per month for printer copier at Central Duplication. 10.4, looking for a motion to grant approval to proceed with repairs to the playground containment barriers at all elementary schools. And 10.5, a motion to grant approval to repair additional playgrounds using cost savings as presented. Do I have a motion for 10.1 through 10.5? Mr. Negrini, thank you. Second. Mr. Ehrlich, any discussion? Roll call, please. Under Curriculum and Staff Development, 11.1, looking for a motion to approve the 2019-2020 Reading Area Community College Wilson School District Dual Enrollment Agreement as presented. And 11.2, a motion to approve the academic affiliation agreement between Westchester University and the Wilson School District pending final solicitor review and approval. Do I have a motion for 11.1 and 11.2? Mrs. Cocker, thank you. Second. Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please. Okay. Under policies, we have a motion to approve the final reading and adoption of the revised policies 301, 314.1, and 315. And also under 12.2, we have a motion to accept and review policy 226 and 227. Do I have a motion for 12.1 and 12.2? Mrs. Cocker, thank you. Mr. Case, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please. Then we have a second reading of 237 and 247, no vote, and a first reading of 303.1 and 309, no vote. Yes.
Question on the policy 237 on electronic devices, and I'm not sure if it belongs in this policy or somewhere else, but should this policy be expanded to better dictate when students may have electronic devices, when they may not in the classrooms? It's always been a challenge for the schools and from kind of day one of cell phones, but it seems that it's continuing to be an issue, and I believe maybe this policy needs to be expanded.
Yeah, I think based off the recent feedback, I think it would be a good idea to put a committee together that would include teachers and a few students, parents. I think that this is going to be a pretty big one that we need to get some input from everybody.
I agree. And so my question is, should we table this? Should this policy maybe be tabled so we don't rush to do something? Is what I was kind of leaning toward.
Yeah, I think it is something that we're going to be looking into further in the next weeks or months coming. So I don't have a problem doing that if we want to do that. I don't think we have to make
I was going to say, do we have to do anything?
I don't think we have to do anything right now because it wasn't voted on.
It's not the-
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah.
This is before we start getting feedback on,
Yeah. Okay, thank you for bringing that up. That's a good
You're
idea. Okay. Committee meetings, BCTC, Mr. Case.
All right, talking about BCTC again. Anyway, on the BCTC, on Saturday, April 27th, the BCTC celebrated their 50th golden anniversary at the East Campus in Ole. The weather was great. It was a wonderful event. The day's event brought in an additional $4,000, more than that actually, for the collector car raffles that nobody in this room won. And the car show participation brought in almost 100 cars. Both of the raffled cars went to local people, so look for them on the streets of Berks County. And proceeds benefit the Collector Car Fund, which will actually be used to continue furthering students and restoring older cars. So it's kind of a neat cycle. Over 120 gift baskets and raffles raised more than $2,800 for the Career Technology student organizations. So in addition to the BCT leadership and the staff, the day brought out students, parents, JOC members, sending school staff, business and community leaders, legislators, and alumni from both campuses, spanning all 50 years, which was kind of nice. They even had teachers on hand who opened BCTC back in 1968. So the marketing department and others captured the day's activities on camera, and they'll be posting them on the website of BCTC or on Facebook, so if you want to look there. A couple quick things on student recognition. The Skills USA Championships were held on April 12th in Hershey, Pennsylvania. The competitive events showcased the best career and technology education students in the nation. Contests began locally and continue through the state and national levels. And I wanted to congratulate Zachary Nympho, who's a 12th grader here at Wilson in the media technology program. He won second place for digital cinema production. Along more competitions, the three-day HOSA State Leadership Conference was held between April 3rd and April 5th at the Valley Forge Convention Center. The mission of HOSA, I like to educate too about BCTC, so I'm a little wordy here. So the mission of HOSA is to empower future health professionals to become leaders in the global health community through education, collaboration, and experience. Competitive events are designed to motivate HOSA members to improve their knowledge and skills. HOSA does not provide competition for competition's sake. However, they provide a national competitive event program as a means of recognizing those students who are willing to pursue excellence in preparing for competition and having the determination to attend a conference and participate in the competitive event. So I'd like to congratulate Wilson's Ashley Jopp, who is in the medical health profession and received third place for her health career display. Students of the third quarter for East Campus were Alexander Konzeman for sports medicine and rehabilitative therapy, Eric Stitt for carpentry, James Brubaker for diesel technology, and at the West Campus we have Nathan Harishak for cosmetology, Philip Atunez for engineering technology, Zachary Nympho for communications media technology, and Gavin Jacobs for precision machining technology. Just some business notes. The JOC approved the resolution executing contracts with the responsible low bidders for the construction of the new welding and metal fabrication program building at the West Campus that I talked about before. That was $3.2 million, and the new building will double the seats available for welding training, which is a huge need in Berks County, from 20 to 40 while upgrading equipment in classrooms. And then lastly, something to consider here, our friends to the north, and this isn't Game of Thrones, the Friends of the North Schuylkill Valley School District held their school board meeting at the BCTC on March 26th. So their meeting included a wonderful meal prepared by the culinary arts students and an informative tour of the facilities. So it might be something that Wilson might want
Totally
to
open to it.
think about
We've done it.
again. Okay.
Yeah.
We've done it in the past.
It might be time to do it again. So anyway, our next meeting is Wednesday, May 22nd at the East Campus. Thank you.
Do we get to pick the mystery ingredient that they're going to?
We do.
Okay.
We could if we want.
Let's
yeah.
do it. Now, we've done that in the past, and
Okay.
yeah, I'd be very open to it if you want to coordinate that. Thank
Okay.
you.
Way to delegate. Thank you.
We got you. We got you up. We got you in order now again for the Ed Foundation right away. So.
I like going after Karen
Well,
with
we
the
can-
good
we can-
news and all that stuff. So I'll do it now. So for the WEF, the fall 2019 venture grant applications went out to staff last week and they're due by May 21st. Recipients will be notified the week of June 3rd. Mark your calendars for the 6th Annual Wilson Community Night at the Fight and Phil's, Friday, May 31st. Tickets will be on sale this week, and information will go out in the Bulldog Blitz, and information is on the website. Students will be given tickets to be recognized for high achievement that evening. We will also be honoring our Wilson 2019 Teachers of the Year as the game's hometown heroes. This year's recipients are Rachel Whitenhammer, who's a 5th grader at Cornwall Terrace, and Allison Sprengler, a 6th grader at Southern Middle School. These awards are given thanks to they're given and provided thanks to Sun Federal Credit Union and the Wilson Ed Foundation. So thanks very much, and keep funding the WEF. So thank you.
Thank you.
They do great things over there.
Thank you very much. BCIU, Dr. Kennedy.
The BCIU had a meeting last Thursday. At that meeting, we celebrated the retirement of Carl Blessing. After 35 years being at the BCIU, he started in 1984 as an accounts analyst clerk, and he worked his way all the way up to CFO, and then eventually became the assistant executive director. And if you've ever met him in person, he's just one of the loveliest people on the planet Earth. So they're very sad, happy for him, but sad to have him not be there. We also talked again, they talked about the Annie Sullivan Awards. Tannen Summons from the high school was nominated. Unfortunately, didn't win, but he was nominated, which is fantastic. The thing that I wanted to talk to you about a little bit more was further on in the agenda, which is the exciting 2 new BCIU-run classrooms at our Berkshire Heights Elementary School. Well, now it's Berkshire Heights Preschool. We will have a Head Start classroom, which is from 9 to 1. They will have transportation, and that is really great for a lot of parents. And then the second classroom we will have is a pre-K counts classroom. We'll have 1 pre-K counts, and that is, I want to say 9 to 2, might be 9 to 3. And that does not have transportation, but depending on your income level, that is how they decide if you're, which classroom you go to. And it just affords an opportunity for many of our Wilson families to send their child to quality preschool that they otherwise wouldn't have. We, until this, we are the only school district in Berks County that does not have a Head Start or a pre-K counts within our school boundaries. So this is a good opportunity for some of our needier families to send their kid to preschool for free.
Great. Thank you very much. Do you have anything with curriculum right away?
Curriculum. We are having a curriculum committee soon. I'm not sure what day that is. It's on a Tuesday after school. Hold on. It's May 21st. Thank you, Mr. Hart. Yep, May 21st.
Thank you. Berks EIT, Mrs. Schlossman. Nothing? Okay. Under extracurricular, just an update on our spring sports. Baseball team is currently 10-7-1. Boys lacrosse is 14-4. Girls lacrosse 14-4. Softball is 9-8. Boys tennis 2-8. Boys track and field 5-0. Girls track and field 4-1. And boys volleyball 8-2. Most of these teams are starting to wrap up their regular play and heading into playoffs. So we'll have some more hopefully exciting updates at our next board meeting. Next extracurricular meeting is this Wednesday at 1:30. Facilities, Mr. Negrini.
Earlier this afternoon, we had a joint finance and facilities and extracurricular committee meeting to discuss the current state of our baseball and softball fields and the possibility of relocating the varsity baseball field back to the high school campus, that we currently do not have enough fields for baseball to meet the needs of our middle school and high school programs. We discussed the different cost estimates related to turf versus grass options, and also the costs associated with lights versus not having lights. There will be further conversations held with Spring Township to determine feasibility of this. So it continues to be a work in progress. No final decisions have been made relative to those possible changes.
Great. Thank you very much. Finance, Mr. Ehrlich.
As Mr. Negrini mentioned, we had a joint meeting. During that time, due to some unknowns with those fields, if you recall, we had passed the debt parameter resolution previously to go out and get bids for a bond for up to $14 million. Due to some unknowns with that, we are tomorrow going to go out for up to $11 million, and we'll address those needs, those additional needs at a later time. It still makes sense to do the $11 million. We have a lot of projects from a maintenance perspective in this district that have to be taken care of, and with rates where they are, it still makes sense. So we'll see what they're able to do tomorrow with that. Prior to that meeting, we had a finance meeting, just the finance committee, discussed a number of issues, one of which the finance area and our transportation area, Randy Williams, had worked on, if you recall, an RFP for leasing our busing fleet as opposed to continuing to own it. I think, believe a surprise to everybody, the leasing option would be much more expensive for this district than to continue to do what we currently are. Over a 3-year period would cost us in excess of $1 million over that time period. And of course, then the issue would be we would give up the buses that we have. If we ever decided to go back, we'd have to purchase a busing fleet again, which for a district the size of Wilson is tough. So you almost can't go. I mean, you could, but it would be difficult. So there will be more detail provided to the board by Christine in the update at the end of this week, and will be on next board's agenda to vote on it. But I think you can guess how I feel as to how that makes sense. The other thing that we discussed was our vending agreement with Pepsi is up, and we will be looking at an RFP for that as well. We have a number of vending machines throughout the district, so we will be looking at putting out an RFP for our vending contract. We also discussed our business privilege tax. The current auditor that we have that has done a great job for the district is going to be retiring soon, so we need to make arrangements, which Christine is working on, to take over that process going forward. I believe he's going to retire in February, so we are working on that. The next thing we discussed was student accident insurance renewal, and this is probably something, once we get the final quotes, we probably need to do a better job of letting our community, our students know about this, especially with most people in their jobs today. They have higher deductible plans for their insurance, and this can provide, I sort of view this as a gap insurance. It'll provide insurance to supplement their current insurance policy. So once we have the final quotes on that, but it's very affordable, I think, but we probably need to do a better job as a district letting students and parents know about this. So I will rely on Ms. Troutman once Christine gets those final numbers. But it's a great benefit that the district is able to provide, and I think we probably need to do a better job of that. And then last, we obviously talked about the proposed final budget, which you've had the presentation on tonight. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. HR, Mr. Hart.
Our meeting has been moved from this Wednesday until Monday, the 13th at noon.
Okay, thank you very much. Legislative, Mr. Martin.
Not much happening. Obviously, the budget's coming into play. I can rest assured it will not be $12. The minimum wage will not go up to $12. I'll pretty much go on record. It's going to be, I said $10.50 the other day at the last meeting. I still believe it's going to be below that. One thing of interest is the school choice program. The Education Committee is proposing a $100 million increase in tax credits to fund, it's basically a school choice program to benefit low-income housing people, that they would have an opportunity to improve their schooling by this program.
We talked about giving the vouchers to lower income families, and this is how it works. So let's say there's a family in Reading that wants to go over to St. Ignatius, and this voucher is for, let's say, I don't know what the final number will be, but if we say $3,000, it's not going to completely cover St. Ignatius. So it's not really going to help them because they're still not going to be able to piece together the other, $1,500 a year. The problem with other states that have vouchers is anyone can get the voucher. So the people who benefit the most are the people who already can afford to go to a private school. So really what it does is it helps rich people pay for their private schools.
Well, in Pennsylvania, a rich person cannot qualify.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, well,
I'm not holding my breath.
well, and once again, this is coming from the education department, so I'm only relaying what's on the agenda. But
I
they
think-
feel it would benefit, especially inner city.
I think perhaps they should better fund inner city schools and maybe wouldn't have this problem trying to funnel it to private institutions.
That's
Thank
it
you.
for me.
Okay, thank you. PR, Public Relations, Ms. Troutman.
I have a couple items under Wilson Good News. This is extremely impressive. We want to congratulate 2018 Wilson graduate Quinn Sprout for earning a perfect score on the AP Microeconomics exam back in May of 2018. Quinn not only received the top score of 5 on his exam, but he was only one of 26 students from around the world to earn every possible point on this assessment. It's not only an acknowledgement of Quinn, but also an acknowledgement of Wilson AP Microeconomics teacher Chris Wagner's excellent work to prepare his students for the exam. So this is a huge accomplishment. So we are very, very proud of Quinn and Mr. Wagner for this incredible accomplishment. We also want to congratulate our high school FBLA members who recently competed at the state competition in Hershey. With over 5,500 students competing, it's above and beyond impressive that the following students placed in the top 10 in their competitions. Bryn Underwood placed 9th in public speaking. Edith Goppel placed 8th in database design and applications. Aiden D'Souza, 6th place in introduction to public speaking. Oliver Pastorzik, I hope I said that right, Pastorzik, 10th place in economics. And Kayla Marr, 8th place in introduction to business. So we're certainly proud of all the students who represented Wilson with such excellence at that competition. A few items under PR. We have a new Grandview Gallery exhibit that just opened this past week. It's called Pigments of My Imagination by Steve Fabian. He uses vibrant colors of his pigments in all of his artwork. And all of these pieces are actually for sale. So if you have a moment, take a look at them. They are really, really impressive. And speaking of art, a lot of our schools are having art shows over the next few weeks. So we've been promoting them through our district communications, and I know Mr. Russo is going to talk specifically about the high school show in just a minute. We also want to announce that the annual Wilson Games will be held this Friday, May 10th from 9:30 to 1:30 in the Gursky Stadium. This is a great annual event that allows students of all ability levels and ages to participate and have a great time. Our peer buddies join our athletes to assist with each event, and family and friends are invited to cheer on the students. So certainly the entire public is invited to attend this. Let's hope that we have great weather this year. I know. So last year we did move them indoors, and I still think it was a great event. So we will communicate, if we do need to move them indoors, we will communicate that through district communications. But fingers crossed, because the weather has been very unpredictable. So also coming up is our 4th annual Elementary Reading Olympics. This event will be held on Wednesday, May 15th at Southern Middle School. Doors open at 5:30. Again, this is a community event, and it's a great way to show support for our outstanding readers. Thank you.
Mrs. Cocker.
Just want to officially invite and congratulate Mr. Fitterling for his new role, and we are excited on the Technology Committee to have him. He's come to every meeting already, so to just have a new role in the group. So, congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you. Student outreach, Mr. Russo.
All right, well, my first note, you probably saw too many pictures on Facebook, or maybe you saw the traffic on Grandview Boulevard, but this past weekend, over 630 students, and actually the tally I just heard is now up to 640 students attended our prom here in the Wilson High School Gymnasium, and this is now actually the largest prom ever held at Wilson High School by over 50 students. So that's truly impressive just to see how many students are turning out to this event and how many students want to be there. Students enjoyed a night under the stars in Paris, so it takes a bunch of classic prom themes and brought them together, but they did a really nice job. The whole event is organized by a high school math teacher, Mrs. Deb Whitmoyer, and the junior class officers along with the prom committee. So it is entirely student organized. They spend months preparing. They spend all of Friday setting up, just going back and forth from classes to maybe take a test or two. But they really did a nice job pulling it off. The event was catered by GNA. They had some French-inspired desserts, and students were very happy with that. And one of the highlights of the event also, and my date came from a different school, and she thought it was so cool to see walking into the venue, all the prom goers will be greeted by literally cheering fans or community members as they're like yelling your name for pictures walking in on our red carpet. So it really was a really nice day. And the rain held off until later at night, so people got their pictures in. No one's hair was too messed up, so that was. Also, in the midst of AP testing, I'd mentioned before, very stressful time for students, but gifted education students have had the opportunity to partake in a mindfulness workshop. One of my teachers, Mrs. Stuckert, was able to secure a grant to bring in a certified yoga instructor that's also exploring mindfulness and stress management. So unfortunately, I missed the session with the yoga instructor, but knowing the class and the work they're doing, they're learning how to cope with, to continue to take on these heavy course loads, but also ensuring that they are taking some time for themselves, breathing exercises, planning exercises, and it really just is nice to see that part of the student experiences, I think one of you guys said, is being taken care of. So they're still carrying out a few more activities for the rest of the year. We're still in that AP window, but it's really unique to see something like that happen. Ms. Troutman introed me to the intro for the spring art show. Actually, the high school art show opened this evening, starting at 6 p.m., running until 8:30. So depending on what time this meeting ends, you might be able to go down and catch a glimpse at some of the art. And I was fortunate to take painting one and drawing one this year, and I am so glad that I did. It's a very diverse class with a diverse group of students from all different grades, but it's such an amazing way to start your day. And I think it's so important to learn different skills that aren't always classic educational parts. You know what I mean? They're not classic courses to take. So it's really amazing. So if you go down there, you'll see a variety of work from a variety of mediums, sculptures, paintings, drawings, and you have the opportunity to buy some of them. Some of them are for purchase, and 20% of the proceeds will go directly to the Wilson High School Art Department, while the remainder goes to our students so they can either spend on whatever they want or possibly buy some more supplies, continue to create. One other note, the Wilson High School Student Government, the club that I am in charge of, is going to help organize the Got the Nerve Triathlon. It's probably overstating our role. We helped set up the triathlon at Mount Gretna on May 18th. It tends to usually be a rainy event, but it's a really nice fundraiser that helps the I Am Able Foundation, which is a really large local charity that we see helping provide resources, grants, guidance to those with disabilities who still seek to be active. And my last note, I don't have on here, but it's the most important one because my mom told me I had to say it. It's the Wilson High School Cap and Gown Casino Night celebration. You may have been exposed to some of my mom's Facebook posts pertaining to pot pie fundraisers and whatnot, but this event is a casino night to give the seniors, the graduating class, one last opportunity to spend some time together, celebrate, and have the opportunity to win some large cash prizes, as they say here, large cash prizes, some college equipment, I guess you could say, TVs, fridges, microwaves, and then also a variety of gifts and prizes that all students, no matter what they're bound for, would definitely enjoy having. It was hard to fundraise for this event, going right from Minithon when you have to say, oh, look at the cause we're going to, but then you're like, oh, do you hear about this party we're having for the senior class? But it really is nice to see. This money really will help students buy computers, school supplies, and whatnot. So if you have a graduating senior, or your neighbor's a senior, your nephew's a senior, or something like that, I'll have some papers on the table on the way out. So that's all I have.
Great. You guys, you deserve to celebrate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Mr. Russo, regarding prom, each year it seems that a new, clever, or creative mode of transportation seems to bring students. What was the consensus this year of the most interesting arrival?
I saw there was one of my friends who actually, they took pictures at my house before. Someone came in a fire truck, but it didn't help that his date has bright red hair, wore a bright red dress, and came in on a bright red fire truck. So that was definitely a unique one.
Great, thanks.
Very good. Thank you very much. Mr. Maravich. Any other business from the board? I just wanted to share with you, I stopped by, I think we were all invited to it, the Field and Stream Day that was held at West, and this is something near and dear to me as a former science teacher. I've always enjoyed the environment we have over there at West and Green Valley with the creek back there and the wetlands. It's apparently not real good to build football fields on it, but the good news is it does grow macroinvertebrates really well. So one of our West teachers kind of spearheads this, but it was neat because there was upwards of 17 different staff members that were involved in the day. Students in the middle school were led around to 5 different stations that included a short video that was showed in the auditorium, and then they went to the gym where there was a water runoff and viruscape. There was a coloring contest. They introduced them to fly tying, fly casting, macroinvertebrate identification. There was wildlife kits with skulls and different bones. There was a honeybee station there. Then they went out to the stream off of Gull Road, and Mr. Ulmer, one of our high school biology teachers, was out there and demonstrated collecting macroinvertebrates and how you can use different species to identify whether they have clean water or not. They also were able to release some of the trout that they've been growing all year. From there was a plant a tree station that they walked back closer to the retention basin / pond that we have back there. And then there was also a station with plant discovery where they used an actual app to do some plant identification. So it was a great day. I about 2 months ago had one of my son's friends with us, and we had some time to kill in between a soccer game, and I took them for a little hike through the woods, and this kid actually said to me, that was the first time I ever walked through the woods, and it blew me away. A 16-year-old had never walked through the woods before. So I love the idea that we get our kids out and we're using the resources that we have there over at West to give some of these kids that experience. So great collaborative effort by all involved in that, and I was really impressed. So anything else for the cause? All right, looking for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Hopp, thank you. We're adjourned.